I asked this question on my community post. I said, when a woman says, I like nerds in regards to her dating preferences, what do you think that means? And does she start voicing her attraction to nerds when she's younger or older? When I mentioned the fact of Steve Urkel, they were like, hell no. And I'm like, but he was a nerd, right? And I was like, well, what are y'all talking about when you actually mean nerds? And I kind of got the idea that they were describing a man who is well-educated, in shape, attractive, wears glasses, and on occasions he may do something unconventional for fun, outside of what black men are supposed to like. Maybe hiking, watching anime, going to Comic-Con, which I have been before in Denver. So, but I'm like, well, that's not your typical nerd. And when I asked this question, it was so many guys in the comments mentioning this content creator's name, Flat Top Chicken. And I was like, who is this guy? You guys keep mentioning him, but you're not putting any links in there. So I had to research, and I found a young black man. He sounds like he's a black man. And yeah, I think he said it in this video. He's a black guy. And he centered his, I guess he centered his page around speaking for the real black nerds. And he has some interesting videos that were very informative to me. He actually did a great video of breaking everything down. And I want to go over with you guys since you guys mentioned it.
Growing up as a nerdy black dude, as I have, you would know that black women would not touch you with a 10-foot pole. But I'll talk about that later. Back to the tweet. It was so bad that somebody started a separate Twitter thread where they asked black women to post their nerdy black boyfriends. And all that Twitter thread ended up being was black women posting their conventionally attractive boyfriends who just so happened to be into nerdy stuff. Now, I will admit that there was a few couples in there that truly were just two nerds falling in love. But what made the tweet even funnier was that in that thread, a couple of black women were getting exposed for lusting after white men in the past. And all I got.
So somebody mentioned that, and I'm sorry to stop so early. There was a guy, I think in last live stream, he was like, yeah, when I put up the anime / gamer girl, it was a couple guys say, well, if they're a black anime gamer girl, they tend to be into white men. And this is what Flat Top Chicken is actually saying. And also, he just confirmed, he was like, hey, man, the women who were putting the pictures up of their boyfriend, they were conventionally attractive men, black men, but they were just into nerdy stuff like anime. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to speak too much for him, but I think he does an amazing job. But I see some correlation in regards to the black gamer girls being attracted to white men. I wonder what that is, why that is, and why black men can't just be that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, let's continue.
Got to say about that is, those in glass houses should not throw stones. Now, here comes the part where I talk about my personal experience on this topic. I don't know if you realize it yet, but I myself am a black nerd. I am an African-American male who possesses unconventional hobbies such as anime and video games. I'm not going to use the term blurred because I think that shit sounds fucking stupid. I've been playing video games and watching anime since I was in grade school. I got a fat-ass PS2 game collection. On occasion, I hunt down rare retro games so I can add them to my collection. I really do this nerd shit. And I can safely say after 20 years of being a nerd has never gotten me any pussy whatsoever. No.
So he's being honest, and this is his experience. He's basically telling you guys that all that nerd talk that women keep saying, I love nerds, he's saying it's all cap. And I think a lot of you guys agree in the comment section. Here we go.
Woman in the history of ever has ever wanted to date me because I told her I liked Inuyasha or Cowboy Bebop or Dragon Ball Z. No woman has ever thrown it back on me because I told her I like going to arcades. A woman has never had to wring out her panties because I told her I had a collection of PS2 games. It's just never happened. Being a nerd never got me any bitches, just plain and simple. I'll tell you what it did get me though. It got me flamed and ridiculed often until about the beginning of high school. No joke, I got called gay for nearly a whole semester after I mentioned that I played played video games.
Why would people call him gay because he liked to play video games? What is that? What sense does that make?
Y'all think I'm making this up? This happened in 8th grade. Now, with this in mind, you can imagine how surprised I was when people began to come out of the woodwork just a few years later talking about how much they love nerdy men. Ooh, I love me a guy who likes anime. Now people are trying to rewrite history and say people didn't get bullied back in the day for liking anime. Oh, you didn't get bullied for liking anime? You got bullied because you Naruto ran in the hallways.
I've heard this before from social media. I've seen that tweet before where people were trying to invalidate their experience by saying you didn't get bullied because you was a nerd, because you got bullied because you was running around doing the Naruto run, or you was playing Dragon Ball Z in lunch hall. And he's like, no, that's not anything that we do. And then he's going to say something that's actually sad, man. I'm like, damn. And I was like, that's crazy that people would label these types of black men like this. Listen to what he says. This is very crazy.
Tried to go Super Saiyan in the middle of class.
Bro, how you gonna tell me what happened to me? How you gonna tell me I didn't get called gay for liking Dragon Ball Z? The worst offenders of this revisionist history campaign are the girls who want to sit there and tell you, oh, y'all didn't like us back in high school. Y'all always went after all of the white girls. Hold up, let me get this straight. So you're telling me that as hard as it was back then to find a girl, let alone a black girl who was into nerdy stuff, nerdy black men was just out here curving nerdy girls left and right?
Man, this is some bullshit.
That's a great point. I've heard that before. It's like, well, the nerd guys didn't like black women, so they were going for white women. But he was like, we wouldn't get no cheeks in high school. No girls liked us. So you mean to tell me I curved black women so I could get white women? They didn't like us either. So it wasn't that. And I know you guys have heard this before. They say, well, y'all didn't even like black women. Like, how you know? You never even tried to mess with us because we was, nerds. That's what he's saying.
I wish I was getting approached by some nerdy black girls back in high school and middle school. In my entire school career, I only knew 3 black girls who was into nerdy shit. One of them used to bully me, the other one friend zoned me, and the third one moved away. Now, 2 out of 3 of those girls are dating white guys now, but that's besides the point. All I'm saying is nerdy black girls, nerdy girls in general, they was not just popping up out of thin air back in the day like y'all say they were. If anything, the nerdy girls were the ones who were going after other dudes, because there was always this weird phenomenon that happened in high school where almost none of the nerdy guys had girlfriends, but almost all of the nerdy girls had boyfriends. Look,
that's a great observation. That's a great observation. You would assume that the nerdy girl would be with the nerdy guy, but nope. They were with conventionally attractive young men, I guess. So that's another great point.
back in the day, it was a drought for nerdy dudes. I remember back in high school when we had this esports club, right? Joining the esports club, right? There was this one girl out of like 10, maybe 12 dudes. Anytime she would walk in the classroom, she just had a legion of dudes flocking her. She wasn't even that attractive. Like, she had teeth that looked like picket fences. Like, her teeth were throwing up gang signs. They were going in like all sorts of opposite directions. It was crazy. But for some odd reason, she always had this legion of dudes around her. So to anybody who says, you just didn't want us,
shut your goddamn ass up.
That's all we wanted back then. All we wanted was to be able to play Budokai Tenkaichi 2 with our little boo thing right next to us. But we couldn't get that. It was hard out here for nerds. And then you got people who just get nasty with it. I saw this one dude on Twitter say, you didn't get bullied because you watched anime. You were just a horrible person.
That's what bothered me. That was sad. I'm like, how are you gonna say that this guy was a horrible person? That I was like, man, that pissed me off. I was like, how do you just make an assumption like that when you don't even know a person to say that they were horrible people? What? As a kid in high school? Jesus Christ, our community. Lord.
I can't believe that watching Inuyasha and Dragon Ball Z on Saturday nights on Toonami made me such a horrible person. How could I have been so blind? Man, compared to me, King Von must have been a saint.
Bro, stop it.
Get some help.
Now, as much dogging as I just did on people who said we didn't get bullied for liking anime, I gotta agree with them to an extent. We didn't get bullied for liking anime. We got bullied for liking anime while being ugly. It's about time.
So now there's a good point. That was one of the the things that was missing from the guys who were trying to explain the nerd dynamic when we started to discuss this. He's saying that we didn't get bullied just because we were nerds. We got bullied because we were unattractive. So in the comment section, is that true? Do y'all agree or disagree with what Flat Top Chicken is saying? I want to hear it, because that goes against what I've heard so far. I've never heard a man say anything about them being unattractive. And that's why you didn't get cheeks. The height thing, and I was literally just talking about the height stigma. It's not a stigma, it's actually true. But I didn't know that this existed until I got into these spaces. I didn't know that men let the height thing stop them from approaching women. Because I told you guys, I showed you my medical records. I'm 5'8" 3/4, but I'm swole. So that's the great equalizer. I've never had any issues with women once I came into my own. When I was young, in high school, wasn't really out, after women like that. My mom put the fear of God into my heart by saying, if you get a woman pregnant, I'm kicking your ass out. So I used to run from the booty. And it is what it is. I didn't end up losing my virginity until I was 18 years old. So, I know that's when you're supposed to use it. I know there's some guys out there that lost their virginity when they were much younger than that. So, yeah. So I was I guess you would consider me a late bloomer, particularly in the black community, because we like to shame black men for not getting no cheeks in high school. And I'm glad that we're slowly gravitating out of that mindset by telling these black men that, hey, if you don't get no cheeks, then you less of a man. No, that means you're smart. Just like the rest of black men who, don't have children. 54% of black men don't have children. So I applaud you. When I was growing up, we weren't applauded for that. Okay? We were actually shamed. So y'all know what I'm talking about. Where my old head's in there.
Somebody told the truth on this subject, so I guess I gotta be the one to do it. I hate this topic mainly because it's so dishonest. Women, be honest. You do not like nerds. You like conventionally attractive dudes who just so happen to be in the nerdy stuff. Seriously, can you recall a time where a man has gotten you soaked by telling you that he's read Berserk 5 times? I didn't think so. You met a guy that you found attractive, and him being into the same stuff that you were into was merely a bonus. You already wanted to date him. In my 20 years of living, I've never heard a woman tell another girl, he was fine, but he wasn't into anime. Could you believe that? I told him, I can't do this. My man has got to be into anime. He's got to be watching Inuyasha, Yu Yu Hakusho, Cowboy Bebop. I've seen nerdy women date men who aren't even remotely nerdy. You want to know why they still dated them? Because they found them attractive. So women, stop lying and saying that you like nerds. You don't. Ugly people have it rough. When you're ugly, everything you do is deemed weird and unappealing. There's a reason it took anime this long to go mainstream, even though anime's been out since like the 1980s. That's because attractive people started liking anime. And when people like Megan Thee Stallion and Michael B. Jordan started coming out talking about how much they like anime, that's when anime started to become mainstream. If these celebrities weren't talking about anime would have never seen the light of day. It would have remained underground, and people would still be getting bullied for liking Dragon Ball Z. So if nobody's gonna say it, I'm gonna be the one to say it. There is a difference between a nerd and a conventionally attractive man who happens to like nerdy things.
That's the point of this video. And I think the black community needs to be honest about this, in particular black women. Don't sit there and lie and say that y'all like nerds. No, you like conventionally attractive black men who is into nerdy things, anime, whatever the hell else. That's what it is. It's okay. And these guys, they understand the grift, so to speak. And one thing that I learned, I think it was maybe like a couple years ago, Myron from Fresh and Fit, he said that they played a video of this girl saying that she loves fat men or she loves nerdy guys. But then he was like, no, the reason why she's saying that is because she wants to get her OnlyFans subscriber count up. Because if she gets these guys to believe that she actually likes these types of men, then they're going to subscribe. And they went to her page, and sure enough, she had an OnlyFans account. So that's why these women will say that publicly. I like guys with dad bods. I like guys who are overweight. I want to be warm in the winter. I like nerdy guys. And they'll make these videos saying that. And these guys who have low self-esteem will listen and be like, oh yeah, she does. And they will go ahead and hit that $4.99 OF subscription. And now they, giving her all the dough. And she just rolling in the bucks while she dating Chad. Hopefully it's not the first time you've heard this, but this is true. Okay.
You want proof? I'll show you proof. There's proof in the very thread that I was talking about earlier about all of the girls going through and just posting their conventionally attractive man who just so happened to be in the nerdy stuff. Look at this right here. Look at how sad this is. This man posted his selfie talking about how he needs his confidence boost. Somebody posted in the comments, man, you better go find it. On top of that, where's all of the black women who say they like nerdy black men? If it was true that you like nerdy black men, y'all should be running this man's DMs up. Look, even he knows what's up. In the name of all that is holy, y'all gotta stop lying to these men, okay? Just tell them the truth. Like, seriously, it's getting sad at this point.
And I'm glad that he is, and then shout out to him, Flat Top Chicken. It was an amazing video. He has a longer form video that he did after this one. It's amazing. I think you guys should go check it out. But he's right. And like I said, it's tough to navigate these things if we didn't have these types of spaces. So I'm glad that I went to the quote unquote expert on this topic to bring it to you guys. And hopefully some of this information was new, and you guys can learn from it. But yeah, I think it was very necessary to cover this because I learned a lot. And I just don't like to see men being used, especially when there's so much information out there. And the same thing for women. I don't like to see women being used as well. If you can do things better, then you need to find, content creators that will tell you the truth. Same thing for guys. I get backlash every time I try and tell men to level up in certain instances. And I get it, but it's necessary. Y'all know that it's coming from a place of love, and I'm not sitting there trying to shame you. It is what it is. So.